As a Nigerian proverb states, a split tree still grows. And for economies of the African Union, foreign aid is probably poison disguised as fertilizer. But first, what is the African Union? According to Deutsche Welle on April 29th of 2026, the African Union is a supranational organization consisting of 56 African countries, not unlike an EU without as many fangs. And many African economies, while surging, are facing a myriad of issues, such as, according to The Elephant, a Kenyan newspaper, high dependence on foreign aid, which in the short term boosts the economy, but actually over time weakens it, as seen in the example with Ghana. Ghana's G- Ghana's industries actually fell by over 15% over the course of 5 years from 2020 to 2025 due to a high dependence on foreign aid. It's when considering that the African continent is a diverse and bustling continent full of 56 countries and nearly 1.6 billion people looking forward to what the future holds for them, it becomes crucial to consider today's question for African Union economies from Cape Town to Cairo. Can the African Union successfully navigate recent challenges to African economies without overly relying on foreign aid? And the answer to this question is undoubtedly no. Firstly, the high debt burdens of member countries. Secondly, the budget is highly dependent on donations from foreign countries. And lastly, high bureaucratic bottlenecks that prevent decisive action by the African Union, which is what the continent needs. But first, the river, no matter how full the river gets, it always wants more. This Nigerian proverb is probably pretty fitting and beautiful for the African continent, but it unfortunately applies to debt as well. With TRT World noting that the African Union has seen an explosion in debt ever since its foundation in 2002, with many member countries having debts in the high 80s and even the low 100s. France 24 notes that many African countries need foreign assistance with their high debts, usually involving surrendering economic control to many non-African countries, particularly China and the European Union countries. Therefore, the African Union will likely struggle to develop African economies without relying on foreign powers, simply due to the fact that African economies are structured for high debt and high growth. However, the However, the African Union is not only toothless, but it's also captured by other foreign powers. Which brings me to the second reason why the African Union will likely struggle to develop African economies without foreign help. If you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. And while this Tanzanian proverb can also be applied to the African Union, it is likely slowing down. The African Union's dependence on other countries is likely slowing down the African continent while also preventing it from going far. According to CNN on April 15th of 2026, the African Union the African Union's very small budget comes is nearly 70% from non-African countries. And Vanguard Nigeria notes on April 15th of 2026, that this high dependence on other countries often leads to the capture of the organization by other nations who twist it to serve their interests rather than Africans. Therefore, the African Union will certainly struggle to revive its economy without relying on foreign powers due to the fact that its very small budget is already captured by foreign countries. However, its small budget also further constrains it from bringing about radical change, which brings me to the third and final reason why the African Union will struggle to move Africa forward without depending on foreign powers. As another Tanzanian proverb states, unity is the real thing. But if there's one thing the African Union has failed at, it's the African Union has failed at is bringing African countries together. Vox, a progressive American news site, notes on April 22nd of 2026 that there has been an explosion of conflict in the African continent in recent years, from conflicts in Sudan and Ethiopia to recent jihadist escalations in Mali, which the African Union has done little about other than suspending the countries involved, which probably hurts them instead of helping them. And another article from NBC News notes just 15 hours ago that many African countries simply do not pay their membership dues to the already small budget of the African Union, which further incentivizes its capture by other countries as well as the weakening of its power. As stated in the previous point, but also the weakening of its power and ineffectiveness doing anything. Taking a step back, while the African Union appears to while the African Union presents us with a dream of a better Africa in the future, it will likely struggle to bring the continent forward without significant concessions to foreign powers who likely seek to exploit Africa. The African Union will fail to improve the situation of Africa considerably without relying on foreign aid for three main reasons. Firstly, the continent's high debt burdens essentially incentivize the countries to rely on other countries for debt bailouts, which almost always come with political concessions. Secondly, the African Union is constrained. Um, the African Union's already small budget is highly dependent on other countries. And lastly, the African Union is constrained by high levels of bureaucracy, which prevent it from engaging in actionable change. Thank you.